All right. Welcome back, everyone. So I skipped a day to finish the previous b0rf Star Watercolor, and now I'm starting the second one. Before I move on to that one, I currently have the other one kind of being pressed down to make it more photo quality right now. But I'm going to show you guys what I got so far, or how the other one ended. So this is the finished piece from the previous night. And also, heads up, this will be another short stream again. So, all right. So that's the finished piece from the night before, and I'm happy with how this ended up. I even asked my wife to come in for a second and like, honey, what does this need? I didn't call her honey. I never talked to my wife that way. But I asked her, cables, what, like, do you think this is done? What does this need? What more does this need? And initially, I was going to go in and emphasize some of the pencil lines a bit more with like the pencil again. I was going to go second pass with the pencil to kind of emphasize the outlines. But I remembered one of the artists I brought up, who goes by Scott Lava on Instagram, or Scott C, I guess is his professional name, or at least the one he puts on his Instagram. But whenever he does outlines, he just uses like a darker color from his like watercolor set. So I decided to go in with like a darker kind of grayish blue to kind of emphasize some of the darker outlines and give a bit more dimension and whatnot. So yeah, this looks great, and I'm gonna go put that away and start this one. So overall, I'm very happy with how that looks. And for this one, the pencil lines are a bit harder for this one. And unfortunately, I think Lyman's going to end up being like just a drawing in the corner. Also, what I liked about putting, and again, I brought this up how when I was in art school, we just kind of did this on the pad, or just had like a big paper that we just kind of did this on our like own big drawing, like our own big like not sketch pad, but we either just held the paper by itself, I think, or it's been a while now, or I think we like some of us did tape it onto like a big like board, or like, sketching board or whatever. They kind of keep it stiff, but now that I'm at home and I'm doing this, I really should have thought about this before, because normally I would have just done it on like the pure paint pad by itself. But now I decided it's probably better to like tape it down so it doesn't wrinkle as much. So for this, I don't know where the inspiration came from, but I really thought for this background I would do red, because the previous one had like a bluish gray sky, and it was kind of overcast looking. This one I want to emphasize like the violence of this battle, like the blood here. So I'm thinking, I feel like something. Hold on a sec. There we go. I forgot my voice. My little voice thingy here in the corner. Alright, so anyways, where was I? Okay, so now I realize... So now, this... I'm going to do red for the background, is what I'm going to say. So... And I think this is where alizarin crimson really is going to shine, I think. Now, part of me wants to go in there and put in as much pigment as possible, and like go in there dry. But I kind of want to make this wet, so I think I'm going to wet this down first. But I want to make sure my pigment is ready. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix the paints. I don't want to be too crimson-y, so I'm adding a bit more yellow. And that's a good color there. Nice neutral red to start off. And I'm just going to go in with my with as a water brush. And just kind of go in and like fill this up. Just to kind of start, so I'm going to go in wet on wet. And it's mostly just to kind of give it a more cloudy feel, give it a more wet feel. Yeah. So on like I think on one of my Twitch streams, I talked about the pain in the ass at work that was having to come up with characters for these stand users that they're fighting here, and it just mostly comes from the fact that like I don't know if whether or not if I should have made these like original characters or if they should have been like something else, but I chose instead to make them Terry and the Pirates. But then I still had to draw up stands, so that was a pain. So I'm going to go in with the color here. And it's going to be very light because of the water content already in this. So I'm going to make that, I'm going to even make this a bit more, add more pigment into this. More pigment into this. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, okay. Oh, it's a bit too much there. So I'm going to go in with this. There we go. Nice. Now, last stream I talked about like whether or not getting tubes versus cakes was better, and I think for me, like I said, I grew up doing doing cakes. No, um, with like little cake sets for watercolor, like the little plastic pans that you usually get at like most places that sell regular. Um, what do you call it? Just like kind of beginner watercolor sets. Um, so the cake set is very common. And it's not until later that you end up getting the tube sets because it's just what's more common at like art stores. Although cake pan sets are very common in, if you have like a travel one. I mean, what I have here is like a travel set too. And the one thing that I like about cake sets over tube sets is that when you're done with your tube, if you spray too much, like for example this, like obviously I squirted out too much of the paint, but luckily it hardens, so you kind of make your own cake that way. And I'm kind of going in there, but although the one downside is that when they're hardened like this, you really gotta wet it to get that pigment out. When when you're freshly squeezed out, you get a lot more pigment. So that's a benefit to that. And I guess the thing I do like about cakes is that like although they work the same way like this, and they might not never be as like I don't know. I mean you can get a lot of like pigment out of them, but they require more water. So I don't know. Like it's been a while since I've used the cake set, so I can't remember whether or not they work best or not like that. There we go. I'm going to add more pigment up here. A little bit more here. Not afraid to go. That's a good thing about adding these like little tape lines here. It gives you a chance to really go over the line. And poor Lyman is just going to end up being a sketch in the corner, I'm afraid. So there we go. This is looking really ugly because of the shadows on the wrinkles here. As you can see, look how terrible that looks. But once it dries out, like as you saw with the other one, it's going to look nice, I think. So, with the scene more set now, I think we're ready to move on to some of these backgrounds. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit before I go into this guy here, which is supposed to be a ripped up or a cut in half. Sorry about that. Not light pole, but a utility pole, which is this piece right here that it belongs to. I think overall for this color scheme, I'm going to go more reddish. So I think I'm going to use burnt sienna to start with for the I think for the ground. Don't want to make it too, you know, I'm going to add a little bit of crimson to that too. I'm going to really emphasize the warmth here. It's kind of blowed, as it were. Makes me think of that one line from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Was it blood? Yes, blood. Blood? Yes, blood. Blood. Blood? Blood. That's a great underrated show. I wish people would take time to discover. Alright, so there's the wall here. So I'm thinking... So last time, what I did was I started with all my major pigment in the back and then kind of brought it forward. Which kind of made the back, which kind of made a lot of like emphasis where like the light is kind of like receding almost, like the shadows are too dark in the back. So I think I'm going to start off in the front and pull it upward. So I've already messed up on that rock there. There we go. Not gonna worry about the shadows too much. Already colored over Garfield's foot. Tail. There we go. There we go. Yeah. These guys are really mourning their buddy here. Pat Ryan, he got it. He messed with a real one, and he got got. There's no way around it. He messed with the future king of the Sunday funnies, and he got it. Okay, that's good. And then of course I can emphasize more of this here in the foreground. Weird little random crowbar there for you Half-Life fans. You Half-Life stands. Alright, there you go. Oh, shoot. Oh, he's got like a little space here that I forgot about. There we go. There. I'm going to be a little messy here because this is like gravel. I can pull this around, mess with it, add extra little whatever here. Overlap. There we go. That's my brush tapping on the gooseneck lamp I have to light this here. So, because right now the best way, like I have two lights essentially. I have, without my regular room light, it looks like that, but now with it on right here, and my gooseneck lamp, which I got from IKEA, which was just supposed to be like a regular desk lamp, but it ended up becoming like my main, like ended up serving a better purpose, as like becoming like this nice little like studio lamp almost. So now that I have that out of the way, I feel like I can now, I think I'm going to go in and do the little wall in the background. You always want to do the backgrounds first. I forget that a lot. I am maybe not so good at this job. I don't know, I guess if I were a better artist, I would have made a career out of this somehow. Instead of making it a hobby. Instead of wasting all that money from, and putting myself in a stupid amount of debt so I could believe I can have a future. But there's no point in dwelling in the past. So I want to make this, that stone wall also red. Because like I said, we want to emphasize on the warmth and like the heat of the battle or whatever. Like, but I'm afraid of making it too purple. So I'm going to experiment with some colors here. So I'm thinking about maybe either doing this, which is a little bit of ultramarine and a little bit of crimson, and I threw in just a little bit of sienna to kind of get this kind of tawny gray color. But also I thought maybe start off with some ultramarine, and just go in with the sienna. That also gets us a good color, but then it's maybe too close to the dirt. So maybe throw in a little bit of crimson, and this is a fresh squeeze of crimson, and you still get the same thing. I think I'm going to go with that. I think I'm going to mix it all together. Usually that's how it happens. I always start with one thing, and then it bleeds into something else, and then I end up getting the color that I might actually want, or I keep messing with it, you know? Maybe add a little bit of Prussian blue here. Or it's cerulean. No, it's Prussian blue. I never know. I think it's Prussian blue. Prussian blue is actually a color I like a lot. I like how weird it is. I like how, like, almost disgustingly, like, turquoise it is almost. So, I think with that color, that kind of nice neutral gray, a little warm gray, I'm going to go in to these here. And that looks a little too bright, so I'm going to wash that out more. Yeah, there we go, see? I'm going to add a bit more water. More water. As the man known in those Bon Appetit videos I used to watch would often say. I stopped watching Bon Appetit a long time ago. And like, you know, and obviously, yes, it was because of the whole scandal going off, but that went on. But I think even after, like, they came back and did some restructuring and did the thing that a lot of these companies do, which they do like, you know, these diversity hires, which it always feels that way. Like when they start like fixing their problems, it just feels like they wouldn't have done it if they didn't get caught. So, but I mean, I guess it's good, but also it's just like it always feels a little too late. Okay, and then we might go in, and these are just like the main flat colors. I'll probably go in there like I did with the previous one and probably add more details. But now that we're at that point, I think we're ready for the grapheols. So, hold on a sec. Oh, so I just realized that my cat locked herself in here with me. Because normally when I'm working in my workroom, which is our second bedroom, our spare, which has really become my, like, work living room, I usually lock myself out so I don't get extra noise and I don't annoy my wife when she's up like this at these hours. But, normally my cat is not in here, but she decided that she's like living under my bed recently. So far she hasn't wanted to get out, which means she's really liking living under my bed right now. I'm really hoping she stays there, but if there might be a point where she gets up and decides to leave, I might have to open the door. It's like incoming. All right, so I forgot one more spot. It's always good to check these pencil lines. You never know where it could be missing. And like I said, you never want to add too much water because although watercolor paper does hold water and doesn't bleed, making sure you don't have a lot of water means that like you don't have like a big puddle too. And especially if you're working with like pencil lines, that could be a big deal. There we go. Okay. So, now that I have that out of the way, now for sure, I feel like I can start these bodies here. So, Dilbert and Wally are very easy to do because they have they just have white shirts and black pants, and then like the main thing is the color on their ties. So, like I said, we're going with like a bluish color. I want to start off with like the normal neutral color, like, and to make the like the kind of black or even dark gray pants. Ultramarine is always good. Really, to make black, you need ultramarine and burnt umber because they're both really dark colors and they make like the best neutral dark gray. Like, it's such a good neutral gray. Even like a cool gray, like it's actually a much better cool gray. So, I think I got it here. I have to think about where the lighting is coming from. So I think it's going to be kind of like a spotlight. So all the shadows are going to be on the outside, going away from the center. So, I'm going to, oh shoot. Okay, I forgot that was still a wet spot. So, I'm going to do a light wash here. This gray pants. And the thing too is that like they're like, I guess it's Scott Adams just like for the sake of simplicity just makes these black and like both black pants and black shoes. So, but also while I have that there, I'm going to lighten this up a little bit. And then just maybe do this crowbar here real quick. There we go. Nice. Maybe even do these rocks real quick too. Too light, there we go. Not the top of that pole, forget it. And also I noticed that when I did that, kind of effed up that pole there, or that little gray spot. So I'm going to try to save that a little bit. There we go. That little part where you can see the wall behind all these pants. So. Now I'm just going in with a little bit of water to kind of move some pigment around, kind of lighten it up a little bit. You can always do that. I would always be careful because I know I have a hard time with it. Because then it bleeds. I'm going to leave, so I like using a much finer brush for that. So I'm going to leave these details, like their skin colors and whatnot, out of the way for now. Oh, do you gotta shave a little bit? There we go. John has it very, like I said, he's got the simplest color palette because he's just blue. Like I said, I think burnt sienna is going to be the main color for any kind of neutral tones or earth tones. So I'm mixing burnt sienna to kind of add a bit more color to John's pants. They're blue jeans, but I want to add something extra. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch over to my smaller brush. Although, like, the size between what is this, a number 12? Yeah, and a number 10 is not that much. But, I don't know. For me, it kind of makes a bit of a difference. It's funny how, like, you know, having, like, I really never considered having brushes these big. But, like, I think, like, small brushes I almost feel like were discouraged when I was going to art school. And then maybe add a little bit of a crimson there, so it's not 100%. I'm gonna mix a little bit more. I'm gonna mix a little bit of Prussian blue, a little bit of crimson. There we go. Because Prussian blue is a little warmer as a blue color, so I think that looks good. Then really keep an eye on where these colors are. Really keep an eye here. There we go. That's good. And Garfield's, he's got a very similar color palette in terms of John's color. But like I said, we want to focus on his color first. And we can use up some of this gray here. Maybe lighten it up a little bit for his shoulder pads. Because he's got these gray shoulder pads here. There we go. And just a little speckle where the light's coming from. Right here. Now we're going to go in, I'm going to use the Prussian blue now to mostly go in for John's blue polo or his blue Oxford shirt. I'm not going to worry too much if they seem a little too light the first pass, because, as I said before, this will be mostly just like the first color. And then while that dries, add a little bit more color this side. This is supposed to be wood, because it's one of those like big wooden utility poles. So I'm gonna, while that dries, I'm gonna go with the burnt umber again. That's gonna go very nicely. I don't like really showing my like main mixing process, especially over the thing like here, because I'm always afraid I can drip some. But I mean, this is where, so I'm describing what I'm doing. So I'm mixing burnt sienna, and then I'm going to add a little bit of crimson again. I'm going to see what a little bit of cadmium yellow looks like, and it does not look great. The camera doesn't really show up the subtle differences between some of these colors, so excuse me if it sounds like I'm just making up crazy talk. So it's going to go in now. And the same color I'm going to put over here. On this, the other half of the light pole. And I'm just going to do the whole thing. And then I'll add the shadow in later. So, alright, there we go. Cool. Nice. Okay. So, we got that going so far. Where are we at on time? We got 10 more minutes. We got 10 minutes. Oh, hey, Ahmed. I didn't even see your thing there. So, alright, where was I? Sorry if I kind of ignored your thing there, but this is what happens when you're really looking at this stuff for a long time. Your brain slowly starts to focus super on this stuff. Alright. I didn't even have my chat box. That's why I didn't have my friggin' chat box on. See, this is a mess. Like this is what happens when you switch between two different streaming platforms. But anyways, all right. So where else am I? Okay. I just want to. I don't like these little. I don't know if you guys can really notice the these kind of little like water outlines here. But I know on a lot of watercolor paintings, and this is a very popular like look that I see, especially on like these kind of Instagram-y kind of watercolor paintings. But they like to do the one problem with the wet on wet is that you get this little like line where the pigment, like the little wet line on the pigment, you can kind of see it up here. But you get this like wet line here, and like I said, the good thing about working wet on wet is that you can spread the pigment more. The downside is if you don't do like a clean wash when you get to like these edges here, you get these water edges, which a lot of people like, but I always associate them with like watercolor art you kind of see at like a Marshalls, or what do you call it? I don't know, just like any kind of like home goodsy type of place, you know? I don't know, these kind of fakey looking watercolors. I don't want to insult the artists because clearly they if they were able to get their art, um, like whatever print they made as like a print that came with like a frame or something that some like person can buy at like a fancy retail store, then obviously they're more successful than I am. So I can't begrudge them for, their success. I just don't like it that much because it reminds me too much of it. I'm just going to clean that off a little bit. Okay, nice. Alright, so where was I? Alright, so John is kind of done. I'm going to wait, like I said, I'm going to wait a little bit on his skin tones. I just want to get like the big colors out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and start Graphial here. And luckily, he's got like a big mangy coat, That's what I like about him. Like Stendward Garfield has like a disgusting mangy like fur coat, like fur, not coat, but fur like cape that I decided to kind of give to him for some dumb reason. I don't know. I think it's maybe my favorite look of his because I really like his like Lord Garfield look in the later part of like the second season of Fist of the Dwarf Star. Like it is the favorite look I've ever designed for a character next to I don't know, maybe Calvin. Calvin I like a lot too, actually. I think the way I designed Calvin is one of my favorite. Although I had to explain to who did I explain to recently or a while ago that Calvin's outfits change. So okay, nice. Okay, so we're there with that. Nice, and then. So Garfield, so this one I kind of want to emphasize the kind of hodgepodginess of the outfit, but he still has like these bluish pants. And like I said, I want to warm this up a little bit, so I'm going to give him a little bit of Prussian blue on this. Alright, there we go. And it's really only his pants that are gonna be colored like this, honestly. So then he's gonna add a little blue to this gray, just so I can give him his like metal shins here, or his like little armor. Let's see. There we go. Nice. Okay, there we go. It's hard to tell. I'll admit. Dang, I just heard my wife pop open the cold one. Alright, there we go. Nice. Oh, his cod piece, I forgot. Nice. So, he's gonna get to this. Okay, cool. Very nice. So now I think we can head on to Odie. And Odie, like I said, is the easiest dude because he's just all yellow. And that's what I really love about him, is that he's just all yellow. So let's see. But he's kind of, so I think also because like, I don't want to make him like a disgusting yellow. I gotta clean up this cadmium yellow because I think I mixed there's some blue mixed in there. So add just a little bit of crimson to it, I think. Let me see. How does that look? There we go. There we go. Nice. Maybe clean up a little bit right there. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Look, that's a fine looking dog, man, if I ever saw one. Alright. Just gonna stretch this out a little bit. It's also gonna help me figure out where everything else is too. John's pants, I can kind of go in now and define it a little better. Shoot, that's a way darker. That's way too dark. There's not enough crimson in that, or not enough marine in that. So, let's see. Okay. I think I'm going to go in with the smaller one now. And then I think tomorrow I'll start on these guys. Because, like I said, this is a much more complicated painting than the last one. The last one was at least like, you could at least look at it and say like, oh yeah, like, I get it. You know, like, that one has like less figures, it's more background heavy. This is like a whole drama playing out, you know, this is the drama of the stars playing out right here. So, alright. So I'm gonna make this skin color first. I always worry about my water cup. The way everything is positioned here is like maybe not optimal. I need to maybe bring in my little like side coffee table. I have a side coffee table or not a side coffee table, but I have like a side table I have in my living room that I should really be using, so my water cup never has a chance to spill on top of my artwork. So, something to think about. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the crimson to make the skin color. Then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow, kind of make it kind of orangey. Then I'm just going to lighten it up a lot. I'm going to go in. There we go. There we go, yeah. It's a little too pink, a little too dark. These guys are pale office workers. No offense to my pale office worker friends out there who are watching this. There we go, I like that better. Cool. Then, always want to go in with a little bit of water first. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And then for Garfield, now that I've got the skin tones out of the way here, for these guys, I'm going to go in and make this orange cat. Nice. Okay, so I feel it's going to use a lot of crimson. A lot of yellow. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Looking good. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. Just gonna go in with the tail now over here. He's got this tail. Nice. Oh, always keep an eye out for stuff like this. There we go. Now this is looking good. I'll do the ties for these boys real quick. Wally's got, luckily I have a lot of this green, disgusting color left over. There we go. So burnt sienna and Prussian blue make a really weird gray. It's like almost like a greenish gray. It's a very warm gray. And I kind of do like it. Honestly, I should have probably gone with this more. Forgot what a nice gray that makes. I used it for the shoes, I think. John still has his shoes on at this point. So, he's got some brown shoes. There we go. Oh, speaking of brown, John's hair. Let's do that. Alright, so there we go. And then also Garfield's muzzle, which is just yellow. There we go. Oh, and then Odie's brown ears. There we go. That looks good. Oh, yeah. Before I forget, Dilby's tie here. Okay. That'll, and you know what? That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for today. For today, we got this far. Yeah. Yeah. Not bad. I'm very impressed with this. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see the detail right here a little better. But yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty good. Very nice. Alright, so like I said, I think this is going to do it for today. And I think tomorrow, because of, you know, I've have this whole set up now, I should probably work on this. I'll probably stream this the rest tomorrow. I want you guys to see the process for these guys, because their colors are going to be very interesting. I'm going to leave this nice as it is now. This is like nice and flat. And then I'll go, obviously, like I said, I'll go in with shadows and details more. So, but we're getting there. This is coming out. I think Danjin, I think, said that he was afraid that like my biggest challenge, according to him, was going to be this one over here. I'll bring this out, but he thinks this is going to be the worst one. I think he's right. I think this is going to be the worst one to paint, because as opposed to the small details of these scenes and just kind of blocking out like these, kind of doing it more abstractly, impressionistically, this one I think might require more work, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Well, for now, we're going to end it here. So, to anybody who stopped by and watched this, I really appreciate it. Glad I was able to entertain you for however long you stuck around to watch. And to anybody who stuck around to watch us all the way through, thanks also for that. And if around this time, I guess 7 o'clock tomorrow, there will be another one of these. So tune in for that if you're interested, if you want to see how far this goes. But for now, I'll see you when I'll see you.